Good morning. We are gathered today on the territory of the signatories of Treaty 7, and I acknowledge the Métis people who share a deep connection with this land. My name is Rakhi Pancholi. I'm the MLA for Edmonton-Whitemud and the Alberta NDP Education Critic. I'm joined today by my colleague, Amanda Chapman, Alberta NDP MLA for Calgary-Beddington, as well as our Critic for Services to Children with Disabilities. We're also joined today by Dustin Horlacher, a strong advocate for public education and father of 7-year-old Kipton, who will be starting grade 3, and 10-year-old Carson, who will be starting grade 5 in September. We're here today to stand up for Alberta students, their education, and their futures. Danielle Smith and the UCP have done extensive damage to public education in our province. Immediately after being elected in 2019, the UCP made dramatic cuts to education funding, including, in the middle of the pandemic, choosing to lay off 20,000 support staff. These staff members included substitute teachers, school bus drivers, and educational assistants. It meant students, especially those with disabilities, were left without the support they needed during the pandemic. But 3 years later, those students, and so many more, are still without the supports they need. Those EAs fired by the UCP were never hired back in the same numbers that they were let go. Even though Alberta has more students with more complex needs than 4 years ago, we have fewer EAs to support those students. Under the UCP, only students with the highest needs in our province may get an EA in their classroom, but that's only if they're lucky. Just last week, I had an EA approach me in tears because of the devastating lack of adequate supports for the students that she cares and she loves that they received this year, and she's even more concerned about what's going to happen next year. When there's not enough support for students in the classroom who have higher needs, those students struggle more, and so do all their classmates. The UCP have significantly under-resourced our schools and students every single year that they have been government. Alberta school boards are 2,000 teachers short of where they need to be, giving our province the dubious distinction of having the highest student-to-teacher ratio in the country. Students, staff, and families are under undue stress as they attempt to cope with crowded classrooms and witness children falling through the cracks. Dustin has seen the impacts of these cuts firsthand to his family, and I'll pass it over to him right now to share his experience.
Thank you. Thank you, Rakhi. As you said, my 2 boys go to school here in Airdrie. We're currently moving into a new house. We're trying to stay in the same area because we finally found a school that suits my son's needs. Unfortunately, it's scary to think that the school is at 110% capacity, and it's important for us to have Carson and his younger brother in the school together. Kipton is Carson's only support at the school as he doesn't have an aide. It's a lot for a 7-year-old to take on. If it wasn't for Kipton, I'm afraid to think about what the school would be like for Carson. Schools are already stretched to the max. Teachers are expected to take on so much more, and I really don't know how a teacher can cope with a class of 28 students, especially when they have somebody like my son in the class. Carson, who's just finishing up grade 4, has ADHD and ASD. He is a very verbal, very whirling dervish type son. He can be a little bit to handle in the classroom. Carson's teacher may have to stop what she's doing multiple times throughout the day. This can be very disruptive to the whole class. He is a curious young boy who loves school, but he can get bored and disinterested very regularly. Also, it's heartbreaking for us to think that every day Carson goes to school with a nice packed lunch, but there's nobody to sit with him and help him eat it. If he had adequate support, I think this would be a lot helpful. An educational assistant would take the strain off his teacher, not only addressing a few of Carson's needs, but perhaps helping him eat his lunch. Also, by helping support the other 27 students, because I know my son's not the only one that can disrupt the class. I honestly have no idea how teachers can do what they do, and it's a testament to see them doing what they do. I truly hope we can get them all the support that we need. Our children and teachers deserve better. Thank you.
Thank you to Dustin. I really thank you. You've been such a strong advocate, not just for your kids, but for all kids who have special needs. And I truly hope that this is what we're committed to, making sure that they get the support that they need. So I'd like to now invite my colleague Amanda Chapman to say a few words.
Thank you, Rakhi. And thank you, Dustin, for joining us today. The UCP's handling of the public education system has left many Alberta children, like Carson and those with complex needs, without the support they need to thrive in the classroom. One of the first acts of the UCP was to cut program unit funding, or PUF. PUF is the lifeline that prepares children with unique learning needs, such as those who are deaf and hard of hearing, or children who are neurodiverse, for success in grade 1. The UCP reduced supports for 3 and 4-year-olds and ended this crucial support for kids once they entered kindergarten. This program provided vital support, including educational assistants, speech-language pathologists, and occupational therapists. Today, we are calling on the UCP government to do the right thing and not only immediately restore program unit funding, but increase it. Parents and educators have told us that an increase of $100 million is needed to provide the necessary support for children to learn effectively. A classroom is a complex environment, and in order to give all children the opportunity to succeed, we need to prioritize supports for kids with complex needs. All children deserve a fair chance at achieving their potential. This is an action the UCP could commit to today. This would demonstrate they actually care about our kids and their futures. Do the right thing. Fund supports for these students.
Thank you, Amanda. Our teachers, students, and parents deserve better than overcrowded and underfunded classrooms. Our kids need and deserve the necessary support to succeed, and teachers deserve the support that will bring class sizes down and help them focus on what they are passionate about doing, and that's helping and teaching kids. Instead of defunding our public education, we need to invest in it. Here in Airdrie, an Alberta NDP government would have built new schools. We committed to a new K-8, a new 1,500 student high school, and a new Catholic K-9 school right here in Southwest Airdrie. The local UCP MLA, Pete Guthrie, would rather call his local school board liars than admit that he's failed to deliver for these families. If we want a better future for our children, our grandkids, and future generations, we must invest in public education. So today, we are also calling on Minister Nicolaides and the UCP government to show Albertans their plans to address this summer the desperate shortage of teachers, EAs, and support staff so that school boards have the staff they need to support students properly. Smaller class sizes and more support will ensure every student gets the attention they need to learn all that they can. Smaller class sizes are better for kids, better for teachers, and better for Alberta's future. Thank you, and we're now happy to take your questions.
Thank you. With that, we'll turn it over for questions. We'll start with questions in the room.
Hello, my name's Connor with Air 106. I actually have one for Dustin, if it's possible. Just one quick one. How do you think your son's experience at school would be different if he had an EA with him most of the time?
Carson does really well when he has a little bit of extra support. He can do great with a lot of the stuff, but he can get bored or distracted, with like numbers or lights or sounds or anything. And he does very well when he has an adult present and just somebody to kind of help redirect him, right? Especially because he has a hard time thinking outside the box. He's very black and white, right? So sometimes it takes an adult to, kind of help him work through that and explain the nuance between problem solving and whatnot.
Do you have a follow-up? And with that, we'll go to questions online. A reminder to press *9 on Zoom if you're dialing in, or use the raise hand function on Zoom. Taking another pass for questions online. Seeing none, that concludes today's press conference. Thank you, everyone.